day everyone. So our topic for today is all about identifying cultural views, ethnocentrism and xenocentrism. Scenario A. A tourist from the United States is traveling in a country where it is customary to eat meals on a mat on the floor, using only their right hand. The tourist refuses to eat, stating, "This is unsanitary and backward. Why don't they just use tables and forks like civilized people?" So this scenario is an example of ethnocentrism, because ethnocentrism means judging another culture by comparing it to your own and believing that your own cultural ways are superior. So the tourist there is using their own cultural norms like eating with tables and forks as the standard of what is civilized. Instead of respecting the cultural norms, they dismiss it as wrong or inferior.
So, analyzing scenario A, what cultural view is the tourist demonstrating? Provide a reason for your answer. Using the concept of ethnocentrism, what are the potential negative consequences of this mindset? So, the tourist is demonstrating ethnocentrism, that belief that one's own culture is superior to others, and judging other cultures based on the values and standards of their own. So, what is the main difference between ethnocentrism and exocentrism, and how can they both be considered forms for cultural bias despite being opposite concept? So, the main difference between ethnocentrism and exocentrism lies is which culture is considered superior. So, ethnocentrism means the belief that one's own culture is superior to others, while ethnocentrism means the belief that other culture is superior to one's own. But ethnocentrism and exocentrism are forms of culture bias because they involve judging cultures based on a skewed perspective rather than objective understanding. So, thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Charlene Alingasa and this is a part of our report. The potential negative consequences are cultural misunderstanding because the tourist bias, which prevents him from appreciating the host culture's unique traditions, and offends the local because his judgmental attitude may disrespect the host community's way of life. In what ways can excessive idealization of a foreign culture, a hallmark of xenocentrism, lead to a loss of cultural identity or a devolution of one's own traditions? Well, excessive idealization of foreign culture can cause loss of cultural identity and devolution of one's own traditions because people may ignore, forget, or ashamed by their own cultural practices.
I am Charity Faith Hualo. This is my report. So, ethnocentrism, judging another culture by one's own standards. The American tourist used Western table manners, his cultural norm, to label the local practice of eating on the floor as uncivilized and backward. They reflect ethnocentrism as he prioritized his culture's values over the host culture's tradition. So, ethnocentrism happens when someone views or judges another culture using the standards of their own culture. In short, the tourist reaction reflects bias as he interprets culture differences through the lens of his own values rather than appreciating culture diversity. So, I will answer the question given by Ma'am Precious. So, in what ways can a person's ethnocentric views impact global relations, diplomacy, and international trade? global relation. Ethnocentrism can create misunderstanding, prejudice, and conflict between nations. Diplomacy. Diplomacy needs cultural sensitivity to negotiate and maintain peace. International trade, business relies on mutual respect and cultural understanding. Ethnocentrism builds barriers instead of bridge. It prevents collaboration, reduces respect among nations, and hinders the flow of ideas, goods, and peace in the global community.
Good day, everyone. For the continuation of the report, I am discussing the scenario B of identifying cultural views, ethnocentrism, and xenocentrism. So here's the scenario. A student from a small rural town in the Philippines moves to a big city for college. They become obsessed with Western fashion, trends, and music, discarding all their traditional clothing and preferring to speak in English with an American accent. They criticize their hometown's customs, saying, "Our old ways are boring and uncultured compared to what's happening in the rest of the world." And now for the question. Examine the psychological underpinnings of ethnocentrism and xenocentrism. Is one a more natural human inclination than other? And what cognitive biases contribute to each? Ethnocentrism is especially used in social sciences and anthropology to describe the act of judging another culture and believing that the values and understanding of one's own culture are superior, especially with regard to language, behavior, customs, and religion. People exhibit xenocentrism, a favoring of other culture, due to the factors like historical colonialism, increased exposure to foreign cultures via globalization and media, and personal belief that other cultures are superior or offer better opportunities. This attitude often stems from a sense of dissatisfaction with one's own culture or a perceived societal deficiency, leading to an idealized view of foreign lifestyles, products, and values. Ethnocentrism relies on in-group bias and the fundamental attribute error to judge other culture by one's own, while xenocentrism can involve devaluing one's own group due to lack of self-esteem, or through the lens of perceived cultural superiority of external group.
Analyze scenario B. What culture views in the student demonstrating provide a reason for your answer, referencing that concept of xenocentrism. How does this views construct with a view of scenario A? So, the culture views of scenario B, the student is showing xenocentrism because they see forguide culture and superior to their own. The reason the student demonstrate this by admiring of causing forguide costume, product of or practicing inside of violating their own culture. So the construct of scenario A. Scenario A likely should be opposite ethnocentrism, where someone thinks their own culture is better than other. How do the economics impact of ethnocentrism and xenocentrism affect a country's trade balance and local industry efficiently in developing nations? Answer. Ethnocentrism help improve the country's trade balance by reducing import and supporting local industries, creating jobs and boosting industry growing. However, to match the rise on local demand may limit innovation and global competitiveness. Xenocentrism, on the other hand, improve on people prefer organs, goods, which earns a trade deficit. This weakness local industries in developing nations, leading to job losses and economics dependency.
Good day everyone. Today, for continuation of the report, I am discussing the answer for scenario B in group 6. The scenario given possesses ethnocentrism wherein valuing foreign culture over one's own. So kung sa atua pa, mas gilove niya ang culture sa lain kaysa sa iyahang kaugalingon. The student reject her rural Filipino upbringing, labeling it boring and uncultured. So, gidegrade niya ang iyang nadak-an nga culture based sa standard sa uban. And idealize Western culture over her native ones exemplifies xenocentrism. The additional question given by Ma'am Precious has examined the psychological underpinning of ethnocentrism and xenocentrism. Is one a more natural human inclination than the other? And what cognitive biases contribute to each? First, psychological underpinning of ethnocentrism and xenocentrism. Xenocentrism is the tendency to view one's own culture as superior and to apply one's own culture values in judging the behavior and beliefs of people raised in other culture. Second, the xenocentrism, the belief that other culture is superior to one's own.
Enlarging the Guzman, this is my report. In contrast with the view in scenario A, both involve biased cultural judgment, but in opposite direction, ethnocentrism prioritizes self, while xenocentrism prioritizes others. Ang ethnocentrism, this is when a person believes their own culture is superior to others. They judge other culture based on the standard of their own self, their own growth or culture. For example, thinking your country's tradition are the best and others are wrong or less civilized. Ethnocentrism, this is when a person believes their own culture is superior to others. They judge other cultures based on the standard of their own. Xenocentrism, this is when a person believes that other culture is superior to their own. They admire or fraternize others or over their own. Example, believing that products, lifestyle, or costume from other country are always better than. I will answer the question given by Ma'am Precious. Scenario: an American film director, Marcus, is working on a new movie. He insists on only using American factors, American-made equipment, and filming on American soil. He dismisses suggestions to South location in Canada, stating we have everything we need right here, and our talent is unmatched. His view is that American culture, technology, and creativity are inherently superior to those of any other country. Meanwhile, a French fashion designer, Isabelle, is planning her next collection. She often rejects using French fabrics or collaborating with local artisans. She believes that true style and quality can only be found in Italy and Japan. She tells her team the best craftsmanship and most innovative design come from overseas. French products are simply not on the same level. Analyze the density from of cultural bias demonstrated by Marcos and Isabel. What are the potential consequences of their mindset on their respective industry, and how do their behavior reflect enthusiasm and xenocentrism? Enthusiasm by believing American culture is superior and rejecting anything foreigner. Xenocentrism by favoring foreigner, Italian and Japanese fashion over her own French culture. Marcos' mindset by limit creativity and Globe Affel, while Isabel would harm her local industry and cultural identity. Both forms of cultural bias can negatively impact innovation and diversity in their fields. Thank you.